Hi guys, it's Teresa. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I wanted to talk about weird English to a non-native speaker. I think in a lot of cases, the people who are learning a language are a lot more sensitive and attentive to the things that are kind of weird in that language, maybe because they're coming from a different language where the same thing works differently, or because they just have this outsider's perspective, or because they're just in general paying closer attention to what's being said and trying to understand the underlying logic of everything, and then realizing, wait, sometimes there just isn't any. So I thought it would be kind of interesting to go through some things that I think, as somebody who's been learning English for a long time, that is really strange and I don't understand. I still don't understand. The first thing I noticed quite recently when I was proofreading a text, and I was obviously looking for mistakes, and so I came across this and I was like, is this a mistake? I don't know. So I went on a Google search and I was convinced it's wrong, but apparently the phrase less than XYZ days is correct. And I was sitting here like, why? In English class 101, you learn that you use less when you're expressing, a reduction amount in something that you can't count, and fewer when you can count it. And I was sitting here like, well, days are clearly countable because there's a number in here that is specifically saying like how many days. It's 180 days or something, but it's still less than 180 days. Why? So I got down this rabbit hole in my head of trying to figure it out, and I think I might have reached the correct answer, which would be that, when you say less than 180 days, you mean just like the general time span from, 1 to 180, and not necessarily all the individual days. Like, it's the correct possible answers aren't only 100, 179, 160, 130. It could also be 110 and a half days, so it's less because we're looking at the time span and not at the days. But still, this is kind of confusing, especially to somebody who's new to the language, and it's like, yes, I can sort of apply my knowledge, I can count this, I'm using fewer, and then it's wrong. Next, I have an example that was the one that inspired me to actually start looking for these things for this video, and that's when I realized that when somebody asks you the question, do you mind? You can answer both yes and no. And both of them can mean I do mind or I don't mind. Let that sink in for a second. I don't understand why that's how it works, but I've noticed that if somebody's like, can I sit down here? Do you mind? And you say, yeah, sure. Then you're allowing them to sit down, but you're actually saying yes to the question, do you mind? But you can also say, no, it's fine. And you're, again, giving them permission to sit down, but with the opposite word. It's so confusing. I don't understand why this is how it works. I think it obviously really depends on your tone of voice, because you can still say, yeah, I mind, or no, I don't mind. Because you can still say, no, it's fine. Yes, because you can say both. This is just one of those situations where it clearly really depends on your tone of voice and probably your facial expression when you're saying it to indicate permission or approval or disapproval. But just on a basic sentence level, it's really, really confusing, and I don't understand why this is the thing. The next one is more of a point of interest that I want to raise, and that is the phrase begs the question, because it is so consistently, like, across countries, cultures, age ranges, educational and economic backgrounds, used incorrectly from its actual definition. And I just find that fascinating. It's not a criticism, I just find it fascinating. So let's read the definition so that we all know what we're talking about. Begging the question is a form of logical fallacy in which an argument is assumed to be true without evidence other than the argument itself. So basically it means that the argument kind of avoids questioning itself. But I definitely understand why everybody uses it in the way that it is being used as meaning to raise the question, because honestly, the words raise and beg have a much closer logical link to me personally than beg and avoid. So I really think that this is completely understandable. And I also think that this is one of those instances where it raises a really interesting question, and that if the definition of a term or a phrase is so vastly different from the way in which it is used in common language use, then maybe the definition needs to be changed instead of telling people constantly that they're saying the wrong thing. And the final thing I want to touch on is something that I just personally found really interesting. I'm not sure if this is really weird English or maybe just stems from different cultures having different understandings of certain things, but I recently found out that some cultures or countries frown with their mouths. I was convinced and sure that all over the world it was a common thing that people frown with their foreheads. Someone explained this to me when I was criticizing in a book where they were talking about it weirdly to me, about frowning with their mouths or whatever. And I was like, that's not a thing. What the heck? And then somebody kindly explained to me that yes, in the US, apparently people frown with their mouths, and in Europe we frown with our eyebrows or like with our foreheads. And I don't understand. I don't understand how the same word and conveying the same general meaning of like expressing confusion or disapproval could be expressed apparently by two different body parts. And this to me is a frown. Like, that's a frown, okay? I'm frowning. But that happens up here. I'm not sure what changes about my mouth. Is it like pursing your lips? Is that what they mean? I don't know. Who knows? Maybe you do and you can let me know. So I guess the weird English turned into interesting English by the end of this video, which, I mean, since the two of them can be used synonymously quite a bit, it was kind of to be expected. But I do hope you enjoyed this and found it interesting. Please let me know in the comments what you thought, and if you have any other weird English phrases that you can think of, whether you be a native speaker or a language learner. And also please don't forget to like and subscribe. Come back very soon for more language content. I can't wait to see you back. And until then, have a lovely week. Bye!